Oh, yes. Hi, how are you?
This is Andrea from the Superman Super Site.
That's right.
How are
Nice to meet you. Very much
nice to meet you as well.
Fans were treated to a glimpse of Michael Emerson in his role as the Joker in Batman Part 1. How was his interpretation of the character differ from that of previous versions we have seen over the years?
Well, I love the fact that Michael Emerson's role in the first part of this film is 2 words. He says, "Batman, darling." That's all he says in the entire film. He's much bigger in the second half. And I wanted a different Joker. We all know what, I say that. My directive was, I was told, we want you to cast someone other than actors we've used before as Joker. Whenever I do one of these films, the first question I always ask is, can I use Kevin Conroy? Can I use Mark Hamill? They tell me whether or not I can. And so I have the right to say, I don't want to do it, or yes, I do want to do it. I loved the story so much. I did not know the graphic novel. I was not familiar with the story. But in finding another Joker, I wanted to find something completely different than what Mark had done, than what Kevin Michael Richardson did in the animated series, The Batman, than what John DiMaggio did in Under the Red Hood. I wanted something different and not as overtly big. I wanted something a little more subtle. And I had admired Michael Emerson's work since I'd seen Lost. And I'm embarrassed to say I was not familiar with his work before Lost, because he's such a stunning actor that I really must look at some of his earlier work, because he didn't just crop up on Lost as that accomplished actor. He earned his stripes to get there. He was remarkable in that series. And he gave a really weird and wonderful twist to this Joker.
Awesome.
Have you seen it yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
To that later. Mark Valley joins the cast in Part 2 in his very first performance as Superman Clark Kent. What led to the decision to cast Valley in this iconic role, and what does he bring to the character?
Mark Valley is a really talented actor, so we had been looking for something for him, for a while. But I never know what kind of film I'm going to get. Is it a Justice League film? Is it a Batman? Is it a Superman? And in this particular piece, the way Superman is depicted, he really is a Boy Scout. He really, he's been referred to as that kind of a character for a long time, but in this particular one, he really is. He's kind of a lackey. He's the president's tool, essentially, to do what he wants. And we wanted somebody who's got that size, because you look at those shoulders and that strength, and you need to have a voice that doesn't seem incongruous to that, but who also could play the upright, this is what here's what I believe in, and I'm going to do this because this is my job and I have to do it. And then yet there's also a side that's sympathetic, much more sympathetic, and Mark has the ability to do all those things, and so we were lucky to get him.
Awesome. One more question.
You got it.
Quite a few actors have portrayed the role of Superman Clark Kent, ranging from Tim Daly in Superman, the animated series, to Nolan North in Young Justice. Are there any actors that you would love to see featured as the Man of Steel that thus far have unfortunately eluded your casting call?
Oh, I'm sure I have a list in my office somewhere. I wish I'd known about that question, because I would have been able to come up with some very clever ideas. There's a handful of actors that I want to work with, and off the top of my head I can tell you who I would love to cast. John Hamm, I think he would be a wonderful Superman. Kyle Chandler from Friday Night Lights, I think he'd be a great Superman. And there's 3 or 4 other people that I literally have on a list for the next project. And I've approached them, and they've either been unavailable or for some reason couldn't work it out. But it didn't discourage me to not go back to them again. So they're 2 guys on the top of my list. And Superman, Batman, there's a lot of roles those guys could play.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you.